Hi guys, so Boris Johnson responded to this issue where 15,841 test cases went missing and were not included in the official numbers and therefore were not transferred to the test and trace system. So let's hear what he had to say. Let's hear his response actually.
Around 16,000 positive cases have gone missing from the test and trace data. Why should people have confidence in your ability to track the virus if you can't even track the data?
Well, what happened here, Paul, was that there was...
Okay, instead of actually answering the question, Boris Johnson responds to a different question. The question was, why should people trust you, basically, if you can't track the data? And instead what he's doing is he's explaining what went wrong.
Was some of the data got truncated and it was lost, but what they...
Okay, how Boris described it as some of the data got truncated. It's a very poetic way of responding to what the real problem was. The real problem was that the software they were using was Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft Excel has a 1 million line limit. Now, why Public Health England were using Microsoft Excel, something that most people probably have on their computer, is beyond me. Maybe it was due to time constraints, maybe it was budget constraints, I don't know. But that was the core problem here. Data was coming in, it was too big for the Excel file, so it was being excluded.
What they've done now is not only contacted all the people who were identified as having the disease, I mean that was done in the first place, but they're now working through all the contacts as well. And the key thing I would say...
Okay, and he's sort of brushing under the carpet the problem here. The big problem here is that, yes, people were infected, people were contacted, and that's where it stopped. They were not traced. The problem was that they were not traced. Why? Because the data was not transferred from Public Health England to the test and trace system, which he calls NHS Test and Trace, which is actually Serco and other private companies. That's the problem. Now, how long did this last for? Well, it started on the 25th of September and it continued until the 2nd of October. On the 2nd of October, it was discovered, well, we have this problem. There are 15,841 cases, people who have not been traced. Now we have to trace them. The problem is they had to discover how many of these people are, and it's difficult, you know, weeks after trying to trace people because time has passed and you're risking missing out on a lot of people.
Is that, and it goes for everybody, is that if you're contacted by NHS Test and Trace, then you must self-isolate. If you're told you've been in contact with somebody who has the virus, you must self-isolate. There is support of £500 for doing so, and of course a £10,000 fine if you don't.
But that's not the problem, Boris. The problem is that many people were not traced. It's good and fine saying, yes, if you don't follow the rules, you're going to receive a £10,000 fine. Or if you do follow the rules, you'll receive a £500 support. That's okay. But that's not the main problem here. The problem is many people were not traced.
Does the government have any idea how many people should have been traced who haven't been traced because of this data mix-up?
I can't give you those figures, Paul. What I can say...
I can't give you the figures. Why not? It seems to be quite a simple calculation. Now, of course, it's an estimate. You're not going to find an exact number. But if it's about 16,000 cases, and it's somewhere between 2 and 3 people have come in contact with those people who were originally infected, you're talking about up to 50,000 people infected, people to be traced. You do have the figures. If anyone can work them out, surely the government can work them out. They know much better than most how many people are to be traced. Surely the tracing system gives Boris Johnson data on a daily basis. He knows exactly how many people are being traced. He knows the formula in order to work out how many people are being traced. He's avoiding the problem here.
is that all those people are obviously being contacted, and the key thing is, as I say, that everybody, whether in this group or generally, should self-isolate. That's the way to make it work. £500 if you do per week, and a £10,000 fine if you don't.
What Boris Johnson is doing here is he's trying to remove the blame the government have. The government have messed up. They put in a system that didn't work. There were reports of how some of the people collecting the data were doing it on pen and paper. They were doing manual calculations because the software didn't exist. Now Public Health England are using off-the-shelf Microsoft Excel to collate this data. Once again, this is not a criticism of the software. It's not a criticism perhaps of Public Health England. Maybe they didn't have time. Maybe they didn't have the resources to have dedicated software for this. But what Boris Johnson is attempting to do here is no, it's not our fault. Shift the blame back onto the public. We need the public to follow the rules. If you follow the rules, then we won't have any problems. This is Boris Johnson to a T. The government have messed up. He's not acknowledging that they've messed up. He just said, yeah, some data got truncated. It's not our fault. This attempt to avoid blame is very much like what's happening in the United States at the moment. Donald Trump is basically responsible for his current situation. He ignored the problem. He swept it under the carpet. He tried to get away with it. He ridiculed people who were actually taking it seriously. And Boris Johnson did pretty much the same thing at the beginning, for different reasons. Now what he's doing is he has this problem. Many thousands, tens of thousands of people are not going to be traced because of mistakes or a lack of resources available for Public Health England. Tens of thousands of people are walking around who haven't been traced, and now they have to push ahead and attempt to fix the problem. Once again, from the 25th of September to the 2nd of October is this window where people were not traced. Now, how many of those people got into contact with other people? How many of those people were infected? We don't know. We may never know. They may never know. Matt Hancock has talked on Monday about how they are reaching about 50% of those people. But that's still way behind where it should be. It's quite frustrating because I think Boris Johnson once again is trying to avoid blame, make sure that the government don't get blamed, even though the government have messed up here. It's their system. They have to take responsibility for it. But he will not do that. His automatic response is people need to follow the rules. The public need to follow the rules. We're giving them an incentive. We're giving them the carrot and the stick. And it is frankly disgusting. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?